Hello and welcome to the 21st episode of the PSPremiere Podcast. I'm your host James Smith, and today I'm joined by series regular Dory.
Hello, it's me. If I seem 2% sweatier and more tired than usual, it's because I've been playing Ring Fit lately. You can find me on Twitter at dclair192.
Lovely. And series irregular Mitch.
Yes, I am Mitch. You can find me on Twitter at mitchob1012.
Unbelievable. I can't believe
I know. It's amazing.
Have you been playing anything good lately, Mitch?
I mean, depends on your definition of good. So I've
Good or bad,
put I've put another 12 or so hours into Cyberpunk, which we'll get more into later.
Which is not one of the not good ones you were talking about.
I think it's fine. It's ragingly mediocre often, but it's fine.
Spoilers.
Okay. And but in the good category, I recently picked up the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition from 2013 for like $3, and which is an absolute steal for a game like that. And so really, I'm just going through that for the first time at the moment and having a good old time, surprisingly enough.
Nice. Before we move on to Dory, what Dory's been playing, before I forget, I want to do some housekeeping. We were supposed to do the Game of the Year stuff starting this week and then next week as well. We're not doing that anymore. We're coming back. Last week's episode was supposed to be the last standard episode of the year. We decided to do this one because, there's a lot of stuff to talk about and we don't like keeping schedules. So we're doing this now. We'll have hopefully the first episode of Game of the Year stuff up next week and the second episode the week after. I know it's Christmas and New Year. So hopefully some people watch it. Maybe
a lovely old Christmas present from us.
What better way to spend the holidays?
That's right.
Than listening to us yap on about the games of the year. With that out of the way, Dory, what have you been playing?
Like I mentioned, I've been playing Ring Fit. I think it's a really fun balance of exercise and video games. I've probably put, a couple hours into it maybe at this point. My partner and I are both playing it and using it as a tool to get us to exercise more often. We don't do it consistently every single day, but with school winding down for me, I should be good to do it at a more consistent pace. It's pretty fun. It's kind of like a turn-based game where you do exercises to hurt monsters. There are also mini games and playlists. I haven't messed with the playlist too much. I'm more interested in the adventure, even though the storyline is, bare thin as you would expect. But it's serviceable. I've seen worse. The graphics are very pretty. It's a fun game. I've also been playing. I know you're shocked about this. I've still been playing Hades
Cyberpunk?
now. That's right, Mitch. I've been playing Cyberpunk.
That would truly be a shock.
Yeah, that would be a shock. No, I would never spend $60 on that. Anyway, I've been playing more Hades. I have started mixing up my weapons a little more, playing with types of weapons that I haven't been able to play with, seeing if I can beat my time. I still can't beat 21 minutes, so and then also progressing some of the post-game storyline stuff. So I can get to the epilogue, that sweet epilogue that's somewhere down the line.
How much game is in this game?
I don't know.
Because
Nintendo has literally given up on pretending to know how much time I put into Hades, because I can look at my Switch Lite right now, right? And I'll say, and I know this is a PlayStation podcast, so excuse my heresy right now. But I'll look at my Switch Lite, and it says played for 45 hours or more, and it's been at that for a long time now.
Okay, so it just kind of caps there.
Yeah, I guess so. Weird, huh? Nintendo does not expect you to stick around for that long with their games, I guess. Besides that, on the PlayStation front, I've been playing a little bit of Melody of Memory. I finished up a couple other songs that were on higher difficulties that I wanted to get an A rank on. Just a little bit of housekeeping of my own. And then one of my favorite things, by the way, of Melody of Memory is they have, I guess this is a song spoiler, but they have Lion King, the Circle of Life. But every time you click on that track, it goes, nah! And it's just so funny to click off it and then immediately click back onto it. My partner hates it. It's great. Just a little fun thing. And then lastly, for PlayStation stuff, I've been playing Plague Tale. I streamed a couple hours of it a few days ago on Monday. Really good still. Still really liking it. I don't think it's going to be any higher than a 4 out of 5 for me, or 8 out of 10, maybe 8.5. But I really do enjoy the game. I think it's great. In the kindest way possible, if I haven't said this before already, in the kindest way possible, and I mean this in a positive sense, it is the best Last of Us ripoff I've ever seen in my life.
It's absolutely a Last of Us ripoff.
Yes,
I can attest to that.
I very much enjoy it, and it definitely hits me in all the ways that I love video games to hit me. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm closing in on the end. Probably going to finish it up tomorrow, maybe.
Good game.
Very nice.
What I've been playing, interestingly enough, I've played this game called Medal Sander Iceland.
What?
I mean, I'm looking at it on the Google Doc, and I'm like, that's a made up word right there, James. That's a made up word.
Sander. It's this game. I heard about it just last night. I started playing it today. I heard about it last night on Jacob Geller's new video. And it's this game. It's like supposedly a 20-minute game. I haven't gone all the way through it yet, but where you're just walking around a sort of Icelandic environment made in Unreal Engine 4 and taking photos of it. And it's just so incredibly breathtaking. Like, there's just one moment early on where you walk over this slight hill and you get to the top, and like the fog clears, because there's quite a lot of fog around. The fog clears and there's this just great mountain in the distance, and it's just the most breathtaking thing.
That is the most Smithy sounding James Smith game I've ever heard in my life.
That's why I played it.
I was gonna say, so it's like a 20, like you can beat it in 20 minutes, but if you're like James and take a photo at every single like granule of snow,
I was wondering, Mitch, because I was wondering,
like,
how has James not finished that game? And then I realized, oh yeah, it's James.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, it's only available on PC, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you like gorgeous landscapes and that sort of thing, photography. Besides that, I've also been playing more Rocket Arena and Call of Duty. There's a new update for Call of Duty, Call of Duty 220 whatever, Black Ops Cold War.
220 gigabytes Cold War, do you mean?
Sure, yeah. It's close to that. They added some new maps. They added Raid from Black Ops 2, which it's only okay. If you ask me, it's not that good. And a new map that takes place in a shopping center, which is big terminal vibes from Modern Warfare 2. Just because it has a lot of like little stores and stuff around. It's like the same sort of aesthetic. They also added gunfight. I'm still of the opinion that the multiplayer in that game is not fun. I don't know why I continue to play it. I don't play it all the time. I've been playing Rocket Arena a lot more. Rocket Arena, which I should say, by the way, has some kind of holiday update where like you can get snowballs and throw them at other players, and it'll freeze them, and it gives you like an advantage and stuff, which is just fantastic. But yeah, Call of Duty, they added gunfight, and it just doesn't hit the same. Like, I remember really enjoying gunfight in Modern Warfare, and it just doesn't hit the same in this, just because I think the gunplay isn't as good in this. I don't think the weapons are as fun to use as they were in Modern Warfare. So yeah, it's only okay. They added like a battle pass and everything. You progress through the battle pass so fucking slowly. Like, it takes you like 5 games just to get through one tier or something like that. It feels like
that's what it usually is with Call of Duty. It's like, well, it's funny because like with every Call of Duty release, when they like bring in the battle pass, there's always the discussion at first of, this is way too slow. How do you think anyone could ever proportionately, progress through this? and then you realize, oh wait, they just want you to spend however like your entire savings on a single battle pass filled with content that, frankly, I mean, is the content of the battle pass that good in this?
It's
Do you
not like
know,
it, because
or...
at first, upon like first seeing it, I was like, oh hey, that's pretty cool, because they have some stuff from Black Ops, the original Black Ops, which I love that game.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, hey, that's
Yeah.
cool. They've got some sort of crossover content with that. And it was like it was a music pack, and I was like, wow, so you can like listen to Black Ops music while you're playing. And then upon further inspection, I realized that it's just for the vehicles, so it'll play while you're in the vehicles. And like,
oh, okay.
There's only a few game modes that use vehicles, so it's a bit
well, because you go, Dory.
Oh yeah, so I was gonna say, I think one of the things I've heard about Call of Duty and the way that its multiplayer works, I forget in one video I heard this, but it says that it basically, the way that multiplayer often works is that you get punished for doing really poorly, but get like constantly really, really good rewards for doing well. And so it makes it hard for a team to come back when they're losing. I'm not sure how true that is, but that's something I've heard.
That feels accurate, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say, like, especially with, I mean, because Treyarch games, you typically haven't had the best like weapon balancing, I'd say. Like there's usually always one weapon in each game that's like far too overpowered for its own good. And like, I mean, I think in Cold War it's the MP5 or something that was dominating for a while, I heard.
In Cold War, it's like, in my opinion, what has been the dominant force in the game has been the battle rifles, like the 3 burst guns and that sort of thing. Like the M16 and the AEG. But yeah, I don't know that it sort of fits that description 1-to-1, because there's not like resources you can pick up where if you're winning you're getting more of them and stuff.
Unless you're talking about kill streaks and whatnot.
I suppose kill streaks are in a way, but the problem that I found, especially like playing it since this update dropped, because I didn't play it that much before, but the problem that I found is that you get like a kill streak, and usually when you're in these sort of kill streaks where you're in like a helicopter or something, or a jet up above and you're shooting down on people, they're all highlighted in red, so you can easily see them and take them out. So I got this this VTOL escort kill streak of a care package, because I'm not good enough to actually get it by playing. And I was going about trying to get kills. I only got like 1 kill because everyone's running cold-blooded, the perk which hides your red dot, makes it invisible to those kill streaks. So like that perk, everyone's running it because it just completely nullifies like most kill streaks. So yeah, I don't know. It does feel a little bit like some games you do well and some games you don't do well, and then the games you don't do well, you're just getting absolutely pummeled and it's not fun. So but yeah, apart from that, I've also been playing Cyberpunk and a little bit of the Back 4 Blood alpha, which is only on PC, but the game is coming to PS4, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about it. If that's all the same with you guys.
Go for it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm interested to see how this one goes, because, I mean, we saw it at the Game Awards reveal, so I was wondering if it was actually any good.
It is, actually. It's a lot of fun.
That is good.
I think
that's also good.
I think if you're a fan of Left 4 Dead, you'll really, really enjoy this. I don't know that it pushes the genre forward in any meaningful way, because it is very Left 4 Dead. Like, there's sort of things like birds, groups of birds and stuff, that if you walk too close to them, they'll fly away and alert the horde. And you sort of, it's the exact same setup as a Left 4 Dead game. There are like some things that they've added, like you get a deck of cards that you can make and you can pick from them at the start of a game, and they give you certain bonuses. But yeah, and like the enemy variety is very similar to Left 4 Dead, but there are different enemies. Like there's one called the Tall Boy, who looks kind of like a tank, where he has like one arm bigger than the other, but he's a lot taller than a tank, and he has a weak point. Because a lot of the enemies, a lot of the special enemies have weak points now. I think all of them do. Which I don't think was a thing in Left 4 Dead. I'm not, just disclaimer, I'm not a big Left 4 Dead fan. I haven't played too much of it, So if I get anything wrong, that's why. But yeah, there's also I have another thing that's in this and there's only one level available in the alpha, I should say. But another thing that I don't think was in Left 4 Dead is you've got these sort of like huge boss fights in the level. They're called ogres. They're just these huge zombies. They're like the size of tunnels, right? And you can sort of they're actually bosses. They have a health bar along the top of the screen, and you can, I guess, stop and take them out as a team if you want. They seem to have a lot of health, or you can just run past them.
Do you get bonuses for beating them?
I don't know, because the games I played, all my teammates just ran past them, so I never got a chance to kill any of them.
Apparently, the rewards aren't worth it.
I guess not. But yeah, apart from that, I really like the gunplay. The weapons, they feel kind of like Far Cry 3. That's what it immediately reminded me of, is like the weapon animations, like Far Cry 3 and stuff. But they feel they feel a bit rattlier and like more thrown together, like you'd find in a zombie apocalypse. Like there's a lot of sort of tension in the game, and like there's a lot of those high octane moments. Like there was one moment I ran into a room and I like all the zombies started coming in and cornering me because I only went in the room to pick up like a weapon that was in the room, because weapons seem pretty scarce. So I was like, oh, I better go and get this weapon because I've been using this AK-47 the whole time. I'd quite like to try something different. So I run in this room to get this weapon. I pick it up, and all of a sudden there's about 50 fucking zombies right behind me, and it's a tiny room with only one way in. So obviously I get cornered and I get downed, and then my teammate comes to try and revive me. He revives me, and then we both get downed. Another teammate comes to revive us, revives me, but I have to reload, and then he dies as well. And then we're all dead, and it's over. And this was like right at the end of the level as well, and we were out of lives. So like it's tough. It's a tough game. And the melee combat as well. I think that's probably one of my bigger criticisms, is the melee weapon. The melee weapons don't feel like they have a lot of depth. Like they feel very basic. Like you just swing, and like the impact. The impact is a little satisfying, but it feels a little hollow. Like it would maybe get boring quite quickly. Yeah. So
I was gonna say, were you like, was there online matchmaking for this? Did you like play with some friends or something?
Yeah, there's online matchmaking. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, there's only one level, so.
Yeah. Okay. But it's like, would you say that everyone was like sort of coordinated, or were there like any like pinging options?
That's the thing. Like, there was no ping options I could see. There probably is some. I don't know. I didn't use any, but there was one moment where one of our teammates had run way further on than we had, obviously just cutting through the level while we were trying to take out the enemies, and they got downed, and we immediately all started like making our way through the level, like coordinated, like doing that sort of so there's a lot of coordination between teammates even when you can't talk. Because like, obviously we all knew the objective in that moment. We all knew, okay, we're going to go and revive this guy. So we were all looking around for zombies. We're going to go straight through here as fast as possible. We're not going to worry about killing everyone. And then when we got there, it's like, this guy was reviving him. I'll cover you. And there's a lot of that going on. Like another moment in that match where we were getting towards the end of the level. There was two of our teammates were at the end of the level. Me and this other player were on our way there, and like he was running ahead of me, and he stopped and turned around, and he's like, he started covering me as I was running away from these zombies, and then he started shooting them, and I went ahead of him. I got to the end, and then I started covering his advance. So there was a lot of like team play and coordination, even without being able to communicate with the teammates, which I like. I think that plays into the game design. I think that's a symptom of the game design, and I think that's what makes it a lot of it so fun. I'm not a big fan of Left 4 Dead, so I was actually surprised how much I did enjoy this. Like, I think I would play more. I think I'd maybe even buy it when it comes out on PlayStation 5.
Would you see yourself like playing it like? Sorry, yeah.
I was gonna say I'm definitely considering picking it up for myself. I didn't get really into the Left 4 Dead craze when Left 4 Dead 2 came, or 1, let alone 1, came out. But I did play it a bit around 2010, 2011. I played it a few times with people. I think I played it by myself with NPCs. Yeah, I didn't have a ton of gamer friends at the time, I think, and I was kind of on my way out from video games slightly. So, but I definitely remember enjoying those games that I did play with other people, and those games that if I did, and those games, even the ones that I just played with NBC. I also remember watching Team 4-Star, the guys who do Dragon Ball Z Abridged. They had one of their earliest Let's Plays was them playing Left 4 Dead together, and that was just hilarious. So that was one of the ways that I found out about Left 4 Dead 2. And yeah, it looks like a really fun game. If it's low enough priced, I'll definitely consider it. Especially because I know a lot of people who probably be playing it.
Yeah, like I think that'd be the thing for me too. Like it just depends on the price. Like if it's like $40 or something, like I'll pick it up. But I think, I mean, like I'll ask you this too, James. Like, would you see yourself spending like hundreds of hours into this, or maybe just like, you know, going through like each little campaign a few times and then being done with it?
That's the thing. I don't actually understand how anyone got that much playtime out of the Left 4 Dead games, because and maybe it's just because I'm not big on them, but like I enjoyed playing through each level, but then after that it just started to feel repetitive.
Even
like
with
the Teletubby mods and stuff, where you've got Teletubbies running at you instead of zombies.
Yeah, like I think like I mean everyone had talked to like the director mode or whatever they had in Left 4 Dead, and then you've got like those little corruption cards or whatever you have in Back 4 Blood. But I think, like, would you say those like modifiers could you see those modifiers drastically changing the experience, or would it just would they just sort of be like artificial buffers and stuff into each little level?
I could see them changing the levels sort of a little bit, and like they say in the intro video to the alpha that no two matches will be the same. I'm not sure how true that is, because maybe it's because this was in the same match, but we died on the first checkpoint, and the second time we went through that first area, it was the exact same. Like, we were going through a hallway, there was zombies breaking out of doorways left and right. It was just the same layout and the same sort of zombies. But yeah, I don't know, like I can't see it being too varied, but I could see it having some replayability, certainly more than Left 4 Dead, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Apart from
I think this is really the kind of game that, to get longevity out of it, it's kind of like a Fall Guy situation. I feel like you really need to play with friends and have that communication aspect to make it last. Otherwise, this is a game that I would play a couple times and then I think I'd get bored of, or maybe not get bored of, but like you said, it would get repetitive. So I don't remember what they're selling it at. Do you remember the price point?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean,
but if they have it at like $20 or something. Yeah, if they have it, I'd maybe buy it at $20 if I could get a steady stream of people to play with for, a couple weeks or something.
Yeah, but even then, it's like with a multiplayer game like that, a couple of weeks, at least to me, like only being able to play or like really get into the experience for like a couple of weeks would be a bit of a cop out, personally, because it's like a multiplayer game is typically, you'd think it'd have longevity. So then if like you never pick it up after a couple of weeks, then I don't know, personally I'd say the experience is rendered kind of null.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's a good start for the game. It seems really strong off the bat, and even in its alpha state, it's less buggy than Cyberpunk. Speaking of Cyberpunk, Mitch, I know you gave impressions of the game, early impressions of the game last week. But now
very early, yes.
Now you're further into it, and I've also been playing it now. What path did you choose again? Was it Corpo?
Yeah. So I believe we both took Corpo, right?
I took Corpo as well, and I wanted to say quickly, because I think you were being sort of vague about it last week, from what I remember. But the Corpo intro, I think, gives a really strong impression, first impression, because there's a bit where you're leaving the corporate headquarters in like a helicopter type of thing, as like a futuristic helicopter type thing, and you get like this overview of the city as you're sort of flying through it. And I think that sense of sort of wonder and like, hey, check this out, this is really cool. I think that really sold me on the game and on the promise of the game. My opinions were then later on deflated.
I was gonna say, like, how long did that view hold up for?
Probably about 10 minutes. Which is a shame, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really loud laugh, but I didn't
get
expect
any
it to
of
be
it.
that short.
We didn't even hear it. It was so loud, your mic didn't even pick it up. That's
Nice.
how powerful it was.
Thank you. Yeah, I just laughed uproariously to that because I did not. I expected it to be a short amount of time. 30 minutes, an hour. But then you're like 10 minutes. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mitch, how have your thoughts evolved since last week?
I think I don't think I actually gave like whether it was a good or bad kind of impressions last week, but I think since then, like, I've probably got about 13 hours logged for total playtime. I'd say overall the game skirts closer to fine and being fine than like good or bad. Like, I mean, it's got some glaring flaws and it's got some really good stuff in it, but it's like it never seems to it never seems to be either one of those things too consistently for me to like say whether it's good or bad or not. I mean,
the thing is for me,
like,
right? One of my biggest points on the game. I'm in Act 2 now, so I've played quite a bit of it.
Yeah.
One of my biggest points is that like the bugs are annoying. They're not too annoying. I don't mind them that much. The hard crashes and like the funny bugs of like cars flying and stuff. I honestly don't mind that stuff too much. The lack of polish really gets to me. Like you can see where you can see where they've cut corners, like where you've got NPCs repeating the same dialogue lines as you go past them in hour 2 and in hour 10. And it just feels like, have you been here the whole time having the exact same conversation? And it's stuff like that. Stuff like that, and just the fact that, like, I don't know, stuff like that sort of contributes to the fact that the world feels kind of dead. The
world feels completely hollow.
Which you wouldn't expect from the team who made The Witcher 3, because that world felt alive. I thought.
Really? I mean, I haven't played The Witcher 3, so I can't exactly use that as a comparison, but like, I mean, to put it plainly, I interacted with the world 10 times more in like Assassin's Creed Odyssey than I ever have in Cyberpunk so
and like
far.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey takes a lot of cues from The Witcher 3. So I mean, it's kind of like a Witcher 3 clone. So you can sort of see that DNA even having played that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas,
this just feels sort of, like you say, hollow.
It also, I've heard that people are saying that the game feels very empty and that there are a lot of spaces that just have nothing going on in them, or unresponsive or unreactive NPCs, or just weird glitches or bugs that are going on when nothing else is. That's my impression
I'd say
from other folks.
I mean, I'll let you go, James. Yeah.
I remember watching, I think it was the No Clip documentary on making The Witcher 3, and I remember hearing one of the developers say that they had a rule when making The Witcher 3 that every 30 seconds there had to be some event in the world that occurred. And it feels like they followed that same formula in this, but it just doesn't work because the world is so much smaller and so much more compact.
Yeah, I'm completely opposite. I think they didn't follow that rule at all. Like, they artificially followed that rule. Like, you'd have like a little ping on the map or something, like, oh, hey, there's a crime near you, or hey, do you want to buy my car? But like it's like an illusion of interactivity and
that's
being
the thing,
alive.
Like, you've got people, you've got like the Witcher 3 sort of style side quests where they're very well written and they have these stories and stuff. But when you walk about, it doesn't feel like you're walking around people who all have these stories that you can go and contribute to. It feels like you're just walking around a bunch of lifeless NPCs. And like, it doesn't help as well that like when I was playing The Witcher 3, the side quests, the way a lot of the time, the way I discovered side quests was just by walking around doing other stuff in like cities and towns and stuff, and somebody would like say, hey, I've got a quest, and I'd go over to them and talk to them, and that would initiate a side quest, and it would feel very natural. But in this, I feel like I'm just looking at the map, seeing, hey, there's a yellow icon, I'm gonna go into that, and I'll do this checklist, of side quests.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, I think the biggest thing I didn't want to do in this game was have it be a matter of, okay, let me open up the map and I'll just select that mission and then I'll go to it. That's pretty much what I'm doing at the moment. Like, I'm not interacting with the world at all. Like, I don't care for any of like the roads or people or anything. It's just, okay, I'm gonna go where I need to, and I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah, it's honestly making me not want to do the side quests and just power through the story, because the story is so strong. So far, at least, I really have been enjoying the story. That's the part that's kept me going. And it has to be said that the voice acting and the writing is, on the whole, excellent, especially from Keanu Reeves. And I was going to
say, Keanu Reeves is like, there's moments where Keanu Reeves is really, really good.
Yeah.
And then there's other moments where it's like, you can tell he's kind of like, not stifling his words, but it's like you can tell he's not used to recording in a voice booth or something.
And like, I generally hate giving like big Hollywood actors who are in these games like, oh, hey, this guy's really good, because how much leeway are you giving them because they're a big name?
Yeah.
But in this, it genuinely does feel like he's the star of the show, and not just because he's Keanu Reeves.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the best thing I can say about Keanu's performance is that after a while, it was less, oh, that's Keanu Reeves, and after a while, it was more, oh, that's Johnny Silverhand. Like, he becomes Johnny Silverhand.
Yeah.
Even though they're basically
honestly,
one and the same, but yeah.
Out of all the frickin' things that are going on with CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077, I would definitely have to say, from an outsider's perspective, again, I did not buy the game, nor am I going to, probably ever, that Keanu Reeves in his inclusion is the least problematic thing I can think about this game at this point.
Definitely.
We'll get into that.
Really is, yeah.
Yeah. And we will get into that, but I do want to say real quick, the thing that I am most curious about is how Keanu's reacting to all the controversy. Because
I don't even, does he even have social media? Because he doesn't seem like the type of guy who'd have like a Twitter account. Because
I don't think so, but he must be aware of it.
I'd say he'd be aware of it, but like I think he'd probably just be like that dude on like the outside fence or something, just sort of cheering on both sides.
I think honestly he just deflected. He's like, that's a developer issue. That's got nothing to do with me. So I don't think it would affect him that much.
It's just,
but I think
it's
knowing Keanu,
yeah, Sorry, when you go.
No, I was going to say, like, he seems like one of those guys to be on the outside fence, like, sort of, like, saying to both sides, yeah, I get what you mean, and I also get what you mean, and, like, he's not going to, like, take any distinct side, but, like, he is an actor at the end of the day, so I don't think he'd, I wouldn't say, like, he'd deflect it, but, like, he'd probably just say, look, it's an unfortunate situation, but, that's not what I was involved in, so I can't really comment on it.
This may be a weird thing to say that doesn't have much bearing on anything really, but the thing that keeps coming up in my mind is like, this is his first video game. How is this gonna what message is this gonna give to him? Like, oh, this is how all video games happen. I don't want to do another video game because this is not good.
I mean, I don't think Keanu's cred is really on the line with all of the negative CD Projekt Red feedback that I've seen due to the glitches, bugs, and all the rest that we'll get into. I have not seen many people come after Keanu himself, so it's not like Keanu's really going to be on the front line of taking anything necessarily from fans. I mean, I don't think they blame him, nor should they. I don't think most of the fire is coming his way. But on the other hand, I mean, yeah, obviously it's a complete disaster at this point, unbridled disaster. So it's not good to be associated with it either, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he looks at the situation. He sees all the developers getting death threats and stuff, and he's like, I don't want any part of that, man.
Yeah,
is this what a gamer is?
We should just party on, dude.
Is Keanu really the like Mitch said though? I don't think Keanu's the type to have a lot of social media accounts. I don't even think people would have to send him physical mail probably.
Yeah.
He probably. I mean, I would be surprised if he still has like a landline phone number or something. Like,
so how's the combat? I'm curious.
I was going to move to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mitch?
I think it's fine. Like, it's really on like a gun by gun basis at this point.
Yeah.
Like, some guns feel better than others. Like, at the moment I've got a katana, a really good revolver pistol, and then like a light machine gun. Those are like the 3 best feeling weapons in the game for me. The rest are just like it's like I'm I know I'm in an RPG, but it's like the first person combat. Like when I see the combat in Cyberpunk, I don't think of bullet sponges, and yet that's what you get basically.
That's the thing, right? I think it's the best first-person shooter combat in a game that's not designed around first-person shooter combat.
Yeah.
Which is to say that it's better than I was expecting, but it's nowhere near, games that I've got it nailed down like Call of Duty or something like that. I
think the best okay, I can't exactly say what I was going to say because that'd be a spoiler, but I think there's to go as vague as possible, you'll know what I mean, James. There's a moment near the end of Act 1 where you get to you obtain a certain weapon.
I think I know what you mean, yeah. And you're just going around busting heads.
That was exactly. That was the the combat in that felt amazing.
Yeah.
But outside
just you're a
of
powerhouse
that,
at that point,
Exactly. You're a powerhouse at that point. And then after that, it's like, oh, now I'm just using my shitty common and uncommon weapons again. It doesn't feel that powerful or anything.
Mitch, how are the side missions?
I mean, I'd say the side missions are they range from really mediocre to there's the occasional few that really shine through. I think the most recent example I can think of was there was this one mission where I was hired to grab some medical supplies from someone, and I went up there and we basically he was basically on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And he had this plan of oh, I'm going to assassinate or kidnap this one politician. And then, they'll all see and the typical 1% type of thing. And it's you could empathize with the character, but then it's I had to sort of tell him, yeah, mate, this, it's not going to really change anything. Unfortunately, you can't kill someone because then they'll just shift that entire narrative against you. And then eventually, it was a good 5-minute conversation, and then once that was over, he's okay, take your stuff and leave. So I took the quest item, then I left, and then I started walking away, and then I heard a gunshot. So I quickly walked back, and then I saw that the dude I was just talking to had shot himself. And it's and the side mission basically concluded after that, but it's small powerful moments like that are where this game shines. There are moments where the writing's legitimately excellent, but then you get into, the more collectathon type of side quests, and it's I don't care. It fluctuates between really good and really.
So it sounds like a really uneven experience,
very often.
Basically.
Basically. I think you can tell which side missions and stuff the developers actually put time and care into. Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know if you got any of this, Mitch. I quite like the driving in it, in a sort of arcadey way.
I'm the complete opposite. Sorry.
Well, the thing for me is it's very loose. It feels like you're driving on gravel half the time, but I kind of like it. Are
we in the same game? Because I'm the complete opposite. I think because there's no drift or handbrake option, so you can't neatly turn around corners. You have to
you can drift pretty effectively just by tapping the brakes as you turn into the corner. But maybe that's maybe you wouldn't know because you don't play racing games. But
no, I guess I just mustn't have the right vehicles for that, because at least when I've been playing, I I had tapped the brake button and I just I just sort of come to a light stop. and
You
then
have
it would
to-
completely like break the flow. But
Yeah, you have to lift off the gas and then just tap the brake and tap the
okay.
brake as you turn, and then I guess
There's
it's
a
not.
finesse to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess it's not every vehicle, maybe just the fast ones. The one point where I have
probably
the
the
most,
fast ones. Yeah.
I will say it's not perfect and it is getting worse as I go, but the one part that I do take issue with is the motorbikes. It feels like driving the motorbikes feels like I'm constantly fighting them for control.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
I mean, like, there's areas where I think the game is designed to like slow you down as you're walking. And driving the bike through one of those areas, it just like slows. It feels like it's getting caught up on something, and it's really bizarre, and it's just not well designed at all. And that sort of also brings me to a thing that I saw on Twitter and tested myself, and it's actually it's weird, right? The NPCs don't seem to have, like, for driving, don't seem to have any real AI. They just sort of drive on a path, and then if they crash into anything or come to a stop, they don't try and reverse out of it or anything like that. They just stop, and then when you turn away, they despawn.
Yeah.
And like, I guess that's the kind of thing that games do all the time, but just on this scale is very noticeable, and it feels very rough.
It feels like it's a game that, I mean, unsurprisingly for a game that was announced in 2012, it feels like a 2012 game, basically. Like, you can tell, like, a lot of the cut corners honestly, are stuff you would have seen in, like, an Xbox 360 title or something. I think
2012 is being generous. I'd go sooner than that. I'd go, like, PS2 era. But
yeah. I think it doesn't feel like CD Projekt Red have like caught up with many of the, I guess you could say, advancements and lessons we've like the games industry has learned for open world games since 2010.
It feels like they've sort of thought, okay, we need to put a lot of resources into the writing and the story and make that as good as possible. Let's just cut corners on all the other stuff.
Basically, yeah. Because I think, well, I mean, like, the biggest cardinal sin that this game performs with, like, exploration and stuff is that it just hands you all of these side missions on a golden platter.
Yeah.
Like, it works story-wise, but it's, like, for gameplay-wise, it's not, like, you don't, walking into an area and suddenly having, like, 15 notifications from, like, fixes and stuff, like, oh, hey, I've got a job for you, and, like, a side mission and stuff. Like, having 50 notifications already there isn't interesting. It's because, like, with Assassin's Creed, you know, like, you'd have, like, the question marks on the compass or whatever. Like, that'd... So, like, basically, like, egging you on to actually explore and see what those question marks are. Yeah. Whereas with Cyberpunk, they just hand you everything on a silver platter. There's no reason to explore or, like, find any hidden side missions.
Yeah, it's like they forgot what made The Witcher 3 so good.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I think you forget that after you develop a game for 8 years. And probably, honestly, because of all the crunch, they probably went through so many different, just like Naughty Dog, to be completely fair, they went through a lot of developers probably in those 8 years, and some of them probably had no idea what The Witcher 3 even was, let alone what the inner workings of it were, because that old guard probably left by then.
That's a fair point.
Well, I mean, because to talk about the crunch issue, I think it would have been a lot, not forgivable, but it's like, I think if it would have been, I'm sound like I'm excusing. Basically, even if they did the crunch and it turned out to be like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, that would have somewhat improved their public reception. But now, not only, like now with Cyberpunk, not only are they now known as a studio that crunches their workers, but also a studio that puts out, like on last gen consoles especially, unfinished, broken products for full price to people.
They pulled a Bethesda Light. I mean, they basically pulled what Bethesda does, which is just shocking for a company with so much prestige as CDPR.
And to that point, sorry to cut you off, but it got even worse just yesterday, as the day of recording this. When Sony decided to delist the game from the PlayStation Store and offer refunds to anyone who bought the game and wanted a refund, which is, if you're familiar with Sony's customer service and refund policies, A huge deal.
Very rare, yeah.
Unheard of.
Because
basically unprecedented. They didn't even
don't
do this
do
for No
refunds.
Man's Sky.
Yeah.
They didn't even do this for No Man's Sky.
Not even Fallout 76 as well.
Yeah, not even Fallout 76. I mean, they out Bethesda.
And I think a lot of it, I think the reason they did it is just because they got essentially bullied into it by CD Projekt, who essentially threw them under the bus and said, hey, if you don't like the game, reach out to Sony for a refund, knowing full well that Sony wasn't offering refunds or any kind of special treatment for the game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they knew that. I'm sure they knew that, and they did it anyway because they wanted to pressure Sony into taking some of the brunt of the fallout of Cyberpunk's release and also maybe making this change.
I don't know what's worse about CD Projekt Red's sort of like approach to the whole release of this game. I don't know what's worse if that they actively meddled with the review scores and cycles by not showing press the console versions, or just releasing a buggy game in general. Like, I don't know what's worse, because
the other thing too with the whole crunch thing is because there was, and apparently this is not super uncommon, but like tying their work performances to Metacritic scores or something like that. I don't know if you all heard about that, but there was
I heard something about that. I don't know.
Unfortunately, a common practice, I think, in AAA studios.
Yeah. What exactly was it, James? I'm kind of slipping on that.
I think it was. I think they would get their bonuses if the game scored over 90 on Metacritic. I'm not entirely sure.
Which it hasn't.
Yeah, so that's right.
Happen.
They were tying certain aspects of their paycheck to whether the game did well or not, which is just I don't have the words for how cruel that is.
Once all the controversy lifted, to be sort of fair, they waived that and gave everyone the bonuses anyway. But yeah, it's a terrible policy to begin with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
you just would have known that they would, like, the only reason they changed their policy was because of the public backlash.
For sure.
Like, they would have gone ahead with that anyways. Yeah.
It's like, if they're, Mitch, you're talking about this side mission with the 1%er guy, right? To me, that just completely rings hollow, because CD Projekt Red is absolutely that same fucking person. Like,
exactly.
You can, gamers have been able to excuse all the bad PR, all of the bad trans representation, all of the crunch, but then finally, gamers are seeing that the company is maybe not doing a great job when there are bugs and features that literally don't work, and then Sony literally offers a refund. That's how bad it is, and it's just like,
this is when you put blind faith into any large party or publisher with a whole stack of money, or anyone really. Like, this is kind of like getting onto a tangent here, but it's like, CD Projekt Red did have a reputation for being like this super like high quality studio, but it's like, at the same time, you've got to have some apprehension and go, they have made great stuff in the past, but they could, especially if they're venturing into something new, they could stuff it up. Like, blind faith, especially for consumers, and then you've got pre-orders, it never usually works out too well, I find.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. And they've not helped themselves at all. The thing is, right, Bethesda, when they launched Fallout 76, it was a similar clusterfuck. They made a lot of bad PR calls, but I don't think they tried to cover up the state of the game by not letting reviewers use their own footage in reviews per embargo, or
that's the
not
big thing too,
not giving them the console versions of the game. Like,
I think
they just let them give their honest impressions.
Well, that, and they kind of, in hindsight, they kind of got a step ahead of the whole controversy by, like, literally in the announcement, basically just like subtly admitting to the audience, the game's like in a super buggy state, but we're going to let you pay to get into that buggy early access state early, just to give us more data. Like, they still didn't handle it well, but it's like they at least had a somewhat humorous spin on it, whereas CD Projekt Red are just like, they're
Bethesda,
blindly.
Right? Bethesda had a lot of controversies around Fallout 76, like a lot of separate controversies, like giving away people's addresses unintentionally, and the whole nylon canvas bag fiasco, and like countless other things. with the collector's edition.
Yeah, I was going to say that's with the helmet, right? Yeah.
And as bad as those things were, I don't think I think those are sort of individual controversies that they cleaned up. I don't think they sort of took any of those controversies and made them worse by piling more bad decisions on top of those.
Yeah.
Look, I just want to point out how freaking sad it is that someone's already out Fallout 76 in less than what? A little bit
2
over
years.
2 years. That's how long it took for someone to do worse than Fallout. It should be a long ass time before we're comparing a game to the way that Fallout 76 came out, which was just atrocious. But in less than in a little over 2 years, we already have another example of a game like that. And again, from a AAA company that is supposed to have high quality and hire this big time Hollywood actor. And I like Keanu Reeves, by the way. He's the only good thing about this game at this point. To me. It's just awful. God, it's just awful.
Yeah.
And it's just it's nuts that it happened with CD Projekt as well, because they were like an industry darling. I say they were. Maybe they aren't anymore.
I don't think they are anymore.
No, it's going to be a big hit here. I mean, to use Cyberpunk terminology, their street cred has probably dropped about 15 levels.
Their stocks have literally dropped. Have you seen
the
stocks and how bad they've lost billions of dollars on this fucking game? And the worst part, and I'm getting angry, but the worst part is they're going to make a lot of that money back in pre-orders, and then
they already have.
And once the game No Man's Skies itself, they're going to make all that money back times 2, and then they're not going to learn anything. And it's just, ugh.
I think the thing is with that too, they could have, because I'm assuming the only reason they released it in December was because they didn't want to miss out on holiday sales.
Yes, absolutely.
Except the thing is though, because this game still clearly needs at least another 4 to 5 months of development.
Yeah.
So they could have easily
April 2020, and I think it was something else before that. This should have been April 2021.
This was originally exactly. I think this was originally 2019.
Yeah,
which was clearly optimistic. To put it lightly,
that was clearly not just optimistic, naive in the most the highest way possible. Yeah, just not good.
Yeah, it's like this. No, I was going to say, this clearly needed, they could have made it into, as you said, an April, May 2021 game, they could have made it, the big summer game. It didn't have to be the big, holiday season game. It could have been the big summer game. They could have absolutely killed it in sales and released I don't want to say, a good product, but, a much more polished product than what's on offer right now.
Yeah. Because the interesting thing is, I do think, surprisingly, from the studio that brought everyone The Witcher 3, the flaws run more than bug deep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd say, as you said earlier, the bugs aren't really the problem. It's just the lack of polish and the really poor and lacking choices in level and game design.
The thing is, I've always found it weird how people put so much stock in CD Projekt when the only big hitter that they've released, the only really successful game they've released before this has been The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
By all accounts, by all accounts, they're a studio that is new to success, and yet people were very much assuming that they were going to hit out the park again.
I think it's exactly like some commentators on Twitter have been saying, some video game journalists. It's they honestly built this hype up themselves. They built this mentality from their fans. This was going to be the ultimate game. It's been developed for 8 years, which is just Kingdom Hearts 3 syndrome.
And also not technically true, because it was probably in pre-production for half of that.
For sure. So
yeah, I think I heard some. Sorry, I was going to say, I think I heard some that development only truly started around The Witcher 3's release in 2015, 2016.
Yeah, would have been.
So, yeah. But it still rings true. Oh yeah, okay.
I'm not sure where I heard it. It might have been that same No Clip talk. But the only reason that they announced Cyberpunk in 2013 when they did was because they wanted to attract talent to the studio to make The Witcher 3, but they weren't ready to show The Witcher 3 yet. So they had to show they were working on something to get people to the studio. So they actually didn't show it because they wanted to build hype or anything like that. They just showed it because they wanted to get people to develop The Witcher 3.
Yeah,
I think that's. But I think whether they did it intentionally or not, I mean, I think that's, that is what ended up happening, though. I mean, this mythical game, it kind of became Final Fantasy VII Remake or Kingdom Hearts 3 or whatever long delayed, hotly anticipated game from a big AAA studio you want to list. Fallout 76.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2.
Well.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, speaking of capitalism, you may remember, I don't know if we commented on this last week, maybe not.
I think we did. Yeah, briefly.
That Take-Two was set to acquire Codemasters.
Yep.
EA has since swooped in and undercut them. Is undercut the right term here? I don't know. Anyway,
I think so, yeah.
Overcut, I think, would be the
sure.
better term, but it might not be
yeah,
grammatically correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're now acquiring Codemasters instead, which is arguably worse because it's EA. They're gonna acquire them for $1.2 billion. Which
I'd say
nuts because they're they're quite a big studio and they have a lot of licenses and stuff. But Sony only paid $250,000 for Insomniac.
Yeah, well, what games have CD Projekt Red even done?
Codemasters.
Codemasters, right?
Both start with a C, so therefore they're the same thing.
Codemasters basically just do racing games, so they do the Dirt series, they did Grid Autosport,
right?
And the F1 games and so on.
Yeah, so I'd say, I'd assume that those sell fairly well.
I think they're more niche than other racing games like Gran Turismo or Need for Speed. But yeah, they do well for themselves. EA is probably a better fit for them than Take-Two, because EA has more racing game experience with Need for Speed and Burnout, and that's
it fits their brand much more.
Yeah,
like Codemasters and EA, it seems like a more natural fit.
And Take-Two, Take-Two and EA both do real world sponsored stuff like sports games and that sort of thing. But yeah, Take-Two doesn't Take-Two doesn't have, I don't think, any racing games in their roster.
Not any major ones, at least. No.
Yeah. So it's certainly interesting. I've seen some emotions from fans of Codemasters that the people are not happy about it because it's EA. Nobody likes EA.
You want to talk about somebody who used to have at least something of a following and now is very much looked at with suspicion, if not outright anger or distrust. I don't know how you would want to put it.
I'd say
up there.
EA have slowly won their way back into good graces with at least some people, though. They've been making a few good, I don't want to say business decisions, but they've put out a few, especially with their licensed Star Wars games and stuff.
Yeah.
They've put out a
Battlefront 2 and the way it's improved, and Fallen Order with the way it came out, both were good starts to EA hopefully doing something better, at least with their Star Wars properties. But It's also worth noting they have a million other properties, and some of those are just absolute trash fires still.
I was going to say the FIFA series. Yeah, that's FIFA, kind of the
sports.
Basically anything sports related is the bastard child of EA.
That's not good because they used to be associated with sports to such an extent that EA Sports, it's in the game. That was the whole thing.
It's a meme. That was a meme.
It's a meme. And that's how much of a thing it was, and they've just completely blown it by having these yearly games. I wish, this is another thing, but I really wish they just stopped making yearly sports games. It's not like sports are drastically changed. Well, okay, 2020 aside, generally speaking, it's not like sports drastically change from one year to the other. Can we put some more time to put polish into these games and give them actual visible differences? The same goes for wrestling games. I know they aren't done by EA, but it's just one thing that really bothers me, because then you get 2K20 and 2K21 for wrestling. I think EA
I more so just blame the people who somehow buy each game every year without fail, and also get the most expensive collector's edition or something. You realize you're just spending money for the same game again, right?
Yeah. They're definitely part of the problem, but I do think the brunt of it falls on EA or whoever's making these kind of games, and not the consumer. Because honestly, whether the consumer buys or not, corporations are probably going to have the money to spend and make these games either way. So I really think it's the way that they produce these games that is the problem. But for sure, people who are buying it are not helping.
No, but I think
And
I just realized we kind of went into a whole tangent there.
That was very
yeah. Yeah.
It was great. I liked it.
But yeah, EA was voted the worst company ever. How many years running?
A few, like a good few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it'll be good. Maybe a lot of the concern I'm seeing is like, oh, maybe they're gonna sort of kill their more niche games or their niche approach to, like, maybe they're gonna kill the Dirt series and just do the annual F1 games or whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be good. I think the fact that EA has more racing pedigree might be good for them. Maybe it's not really up Codemasters' alley because they do more simulation games. But maybe they'll get them to work on like a Need for Speed game or something like that.
Something like that, hopefully.
I think a Codemasters Need for Speed game would be pretty.
Was that new Need for Speed game? Did that come out yet? Is that any good?
The newest Need for Speed game
came out last
year.
Heat. Oh, you're talking about Hot Pursuit? Yeah, that was a remaster of one that came out in 2010.
Heat came out in 2019. Hot Pursuit came out 2020, and they've got a new one coming next year that hasn't been announced yet.
Well, I mean, they've got Criterion back developing that one. Like Ghost Games is out, I believe. So
I've got no idea.
I think I remember writing an article on that, but yeah. I mean, it's Hot Pursuit, so I'd say it got like the same 7 and 8 out of 10.
7 or 8. 7 or 8. Okay.
Like it's a beloved title, so I don't think many people had.
That game came out the same year as Call of Duty Black Ops.
2010 was a packed year.
But that seems too long ago for that game. But
yeah,
there you go. I'm interested in the next one. It's weird because like I got EA Play and I gave Need for Speed Heat another shot because I remember not enjoying it the first time around. I figured now that I have played now I've played Payback and really enjoyed that. Maybe I'll like this one. Maybe I like this one more. I don't. It still sucks. And I don't know why, because the general consensus is that Payback sucks and Heat is quite good. What's wrong with me?
I mean, I don't know.
Hot Pursuit Remastered has a 74 from critics and a 4.6 from users. And it's not like it's review bombed. It only has 40 ratings. So
I don't.
Is this Hot Pursuit or
a Hot Pursuit Remastered? Yeah.
If I'm honest with you, I don't put much stock in user reviews anyway.
For sure.
Anyway, yeah.
I just think it's worth noting. That's all.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's probably been some remaster controversy, probably with, I don't know, them charging for new DLC or something, but I don't know. There's probably a controversy knowing it's EA, but I think
probably multiple.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway,
but I was going to say, well, speaking of controversies and things that aren't going well with users, not really. There's been a bunch of Resident Evil leaks for Resident Evil 8.
Has there? I didn't know.
Well, I did, and I looked into them, and
oh no.
Yeah, I mean, to preface it, it's basically like the same type of scenario as The Last of Us Part 2. Like I've seen numerous cutscenes, one of which spoiling a I guess you could say. And yeah. I'm excited for it though. Like I think, and I mean, I'd say unlike The Last of Us Part 2, the majority of the feedback I've seen, at least on Reddit, has been positive from the leaks. Like they're like, okay, this looks cool. But I think it's still unfortunate nonetheless that like such major chunks of the game have been leaked at least 4-5+ months out from release.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah,
it's kind of like I haven't looked into the leaks at all. Is it like a Last of Us Part 2 thing where people don't like it or what?
No, it's a Last of Us Part 2 thing, and the types of like leaks and content that's come out. Like you've got numerous cutscenes in different stages of development of major story beats and cutscenes, basically. So basically, it's like similar to how, you know, with The Last of Us Part 2, the whole Abby, like the Abby twist and spoilers if you have.
Okay, I'm gonna bleep that out.
Yeah.
I thought you could have just said Abby Twist. You could have just said Abby Twist or.
I was gonna say
come on,
but
get
at
it
the same
together.
time,
What are you doing?
get it together, man. Why am I doing that?
I don't know
But
what.
yeah,
What is that?
But yeah, basically it's like the same as The Last of Us Part 2, whereas in major plot points have been revealed in like pre-production cutscenes and such,
Got
which
so beware of the internet.
Indeed.
Anything else to add on that?
Well, I mean, in addition to those major cutscenes, there's also been sort of like leaks as to like numerous other Capcom games, which I think we've touched on at some point maybe. But I think basically the word on the street is that we might be looking at a May release date for the game. So
Right.
I'm looking forward to that, I guess.
That seems right. I still need to get through Resident Evil 7.
It's really good. You should do it.
It's on the PlayStation Plus collection. I've got no excuse.
Buy it. No, play it.
Play it.
Right, well, if that wraps that up then, that brings us to the end of the show. If you want to hear more about Cyberpunk, specifically a hot take on the game, we have a short 2-minute video up on the channel called, I believe, Cyberpunk 2077's bugs really aren't that bad. So go and check that out. It's a good video. We've been getting a lot of good feedback on that.
He brings up a lot of interesting and good, worthwhile points to think about in that video.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've spent a lot of time criticizing CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk on this podcast, but that video will change your mind.
100%.
It's wonderful.
100%.
Absolutely.
Marvel's
100%.
a convincing voice. Other than that, we have our Game of the Year stuff, as I said earlier, coming up in the next few weeks, hopefully. So look out for that. That should be a lot of fun. So with any luck, this will actually be the last regular podcast episode of the year. So you won't have to listen to us for much longer until next year. So with that said, happy holidays. And we'll see you when we see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.